This morning at the World Economic Forum, President Trump signed the founding charter for his Board of Peace. This has been framed as a body to oversee the Gaza ceasefire, but questions remain over what exactly this group will do. Mr. Trump did say the board will work with the United Nations.
I think the combination of the Board of Peace with the kind of people we have here, coupled with the United Nations, can be something very, very unique for the world. It's for the world. This isn't United States. This is for the world.
CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us live from Davos once again with more on all of this. Ed, good morning to you. There are so many interesting headlines out of where you are this morning, but I want to hone in on President Trump saying that this Board of Peace could spread to other things. President Zelensky of Ukraine is there, will be there momentarily. The two of them could meet. Might this board play a role in the dispute between Russia and Ukraine?
Yeah, the President and Zelensky are set to meet in just a few minutes, Errol. This was a last-minute add to the President's schedule, as, of course, it remains a big concern and priority for much of this part of the world. And the President told reporters a little while ago he wants to get that done, wants to resolve the Russia-Ukraine war, and this set of talks today may help move things along. Long-term, sure, this Board of Peace could conceivably help resolve that conflict by maybe helping with some of the implementation of the agreements, because that's what it's designed to do specifically first for the Gaza Strip. It is a UN-mandated body. The Security Council unanimously approved it back in September, and so the President has brought together just shy of 24 nations today to get it started, and there may be others that sign on at some point. You've got everyone from Argentina and Paraguay to Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Kosovo, and a handful of, to be frank, mostly autocratic countries signing on to this, at least at the start. And they're all going to commit to help rebuild Gaza and resolve that conflict once and for all. Part of the reason is that you don't see more of our more well-known and larger Western allies signing on is, much like in the United States, when you sign on to a new international agreement, it requires your legislature to sign off on it. And since the details are still scant, and it takes a little while for those kinds of things to happen, it may not be for several more months or years until any of those other countries are able to sign on. Not necessarily a complete snub, but there are a lot of questions about the scope of this, the commitment, and what other countries are going to be involved, because there were invitations extended to Russia, there was talk of China, and some of our more well-known Western allies are going to have concerns about that.
And similarly, Ed, President Trump also leaving Davos with a framework of a future deal on Greenland. So this seems like a framework of a plan. And he previously had these tariff threats against European nations that were opposed to the U.S. takeover of Greenland. He's now reversed that. So what do we know about this framework? What is in it that didn't exist already?
Well, it's unclear. White House and State Department haven't shared details of it quite yet, but two diplomatic sources tell CBS News this framework says nothing about the U.S. controlling or owning Greenland. And this morning, the Danish Prime Minister making clear that sovereignty is not up for negotiation. So if this is to be some kind of an agreement, it's more likely to be a bolstered security agreement or some other kind of partnership that has the United States and the various other countries that border or are right along the Arctic, perhaps working together more closely on concerns about who controls that region and the security of it.
All right. Apologies, Ed. I thought we were listening to some sound. Thank you very much, Ed, reporting from Davos for us. This is live television, folks. For analysis now on President Trump's Board of Peace, we're joined by Aaron David Miller. He's a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and has more than 2 decades of experience working in the State Department, serving under 6 secretaries of state as an advisor on Middle East negotiations. All right, you are the perfect person to speak to this morning, Aaron. Welcome on this topic. Let me get your overall opinion on this Board of Peace and its likelihood of making any difference.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, boards and committees don't end conflicts, and they don't engage in mediation. President Trump knows this. He produced the first phase of the Gaza implementation agreement, his own 20-point plan. It came about as a consequence of Trump leveraging Israel and the Qataris, the Egyptians, and the Turks leveraging Hamas. And if, in fact, he wants to do anything in Gaza, that format, those sorts of instruments and tools, that's going to deliver this. Look, I think this is largely an Operation Tin Cup. I think that you've got nations on this board who have very deep pockets. If, in fact, Gaza reconstruction proceeds, you're going to need all of them together. Plus, Trump's a disruptor. Is this a rival to the United Nations? No, but it is, I think, it falls within his own lane of trying to demonstrate American power, not just on the military side in Venezuela, but in politics and diplomacy as well.
So considering all that you've laid out, what then do you make? I mean, Ed O'Keefe just mentioned some of the nations who have signed on are autocratic. You also have Russian President Vladimir Putin being invited to join this board. What decisions might it make if that's the makeup?
I mean, look, so far, the 19 to 20 countries, they seem to fall into three boxes. Number one, countries that are already in Trump's corner, number one, like Hungary. Number two, countries who need Donald Trump or somehow feel vulnerable to him. And I think the Israelis fall into that category. Netanyahu needs Trump to get reelected. And then, of course, as your correspondent pointed out, many of these are autocratic nations. They don't have legal, constitutional, political constraints. They can actually sign up to this thing without any domestic blowback from their constituents. So look, in my view, this is by and large tethered to a galaxy far, far away, not to the realities back here on planet Earth. You want to solve conflicts? That requires tough, focused mediation. Trump knows this. He pulled it off in the first phase of his Gaza plan.
All right, Aaron David Miller, we appreciate you getting up early for us and providing some of your insight on this. Thanks for your time.